Hello everyone. Sorry for the late start. I was watching a video and I did the math on how much time I had left before I had to start this, and I didn't incorporate the ad breaks into that uh, arithmetic. But we're here and we're going to be doing a little bit of everything today. I think I'll go over what we did in the last stream and just kind of point out where I'm planning to add new things today. We're going to try and make, well, there's actually a building already on the map, but it hasn't been fleshed out, and it's been there for a while. So I'm going to point that out to you guys. So if you're watching the streams, you get some spoilers, but that's the benefit of watching the streams, I guess. So, yeah, I'll probably put out I don't know. It's Twitch. People will find me. Um, so, let me grab my drawing tablet. Admittedly, probably should have had that before I started, but better late than never. But we're not going to use that right away, so I'm just going to keep it here. And let's get into it. So I have the game up on the stream, and so I'm gonna just play a little bit here and show you the new things. So in the last stream, you can see up in the top left corner there's a little icon. I believe the mouse shows up on there. I think. Let me see. There you go. Yeah, so there's this little icon up here. And what that shows is whether or not you're in attack mode. That's something that was slightly confusing when I put out the attack update, because I nowhere told anyone that the control button was actually the way that you switch from one mode to the other. But now there's a pretty obvious statement. You can also go up into the menu, go to controls, and here's the new controls menu that we did in a different stream. I believe this was over on YouTube before I switched over to Twitch. But if you go into the attack, you can see right there that there is the toggle attack mode, which is control, and then an option for stab. And there's also a lot of space below, and that's because as I build the game, each individual skill is going to be fleshed out into more possibilities and different skill trees and whatnot. So that's something that I'm planning to work on for a while, but I'm leaving space for that to continue into the future. So just other stuff in controls. We can look at the general. That's what was already there. In the previous menu, it was just crudely drawn, or it was actually typed out in Paint, which I like using Paint, but I shouldn't make things awful to look at. Fishing controls, those ones have been seen before. I just put them into smaller text. That's a little easier on the eyes. And there you go. So there's your table of contents. So if you hit control, then it switches to a sword up there, and you can do your stab motion. And poke, you took a stab at stabbing. That shows that there are some more achievements since the previous stream, actually. So I put those achievements in right before I put out the previous episode. What am I talking about? Put out the previous build, and that made it so you can actually get achievements for attacking things. So if you go to your stats and go look at achievements, you can see I actually have achievement 27 as my first achievement that I've earned. But if we go ahead and I don't know that you can actually get all the achievements right now, now that I'm thinking about it, because there are some that are associated with skills that you can't necessarily train yet. So that's something that I'm looking to continue and fix in the future. But you can see I got achievement 1. You can go get achievement, or I got achievement 0. You can go get achievement 1. And I think 2 is the trees, and then yeah, then 3 is water. I don't know. I think it'd be cool when this game is a little bit more fleshed out to try and reach out to some speedrunners or something and see if I can try and get some community going for speedrunning the achievements. I think it'd be hilarious to see people try and do all the achievements in order, and I know people would try and get pixel perfect runs and things like that, but I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating what can happen. So I guess we'll just kind of go through some of the achievements right here at the start of the stream while people are getting on. So as you may have known previously, you can still level your attack even though you don't have any. The whole point of the stats in this game is you don't know what the stats are until you get them, unless you're like reading a guide or something. So the whole concept is that you don't necessarily know that you can attack things until you just get an attack stat. And there we go. So then you have attack level 1, and now you can hit ones. You don't always hit ones though. So there's actually 3 new achievements, including the one we already got, poke. There we go. There's the second new achievement, and the final new achievement is something that people have already tried, but I just wanted to emphasize it. You can hit the cows with their own meat. So that's something that I wanted to commemorate in the form of an achievement. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there's. Oh, we put the fountain in, so we can go check out the fountain. But I think we're gonna look at the fountain later. We're already close to the other thing we want to do, but yeah, down here. I really need to fix this map mechanic. You can go fast through things by spamming the 2 sets of motion buttons, but it's a little unintuitive. It'd be nice if you could hold it down and it would just move. But there was some problem with that. I can't remember. I think it was like I had to do it the inverse of the way that the I don't know why I don't just have it the way that I have it for the person, because if your character is moving, then you can move in 2 different directions at once. As opposed to this, it just moves once and it stops there. So I should really fix that. It should be something simple, because I think what I'm using is I have a system that checks to see if you hit a specific button, and the problem with that is you have to check once and then not check again immediately afterwards, or else it'll assume that you hit the button several times because it's just checking to see if the key's depressed. So if the key's depressed, then it checks and then it waits until you take your finger back off the key to look for a new statement. And so it doesn't care what's currently depressed, it just cares about what was recently depressed. And then but with the character, it looks at specifically what's depressed and then bases it off of that. So that's why you can run sprint, and you can run in 2 different directions while holding the shift key. You can actually go up to 3 buttons, I think. I think that's just something intrinsic to Pygame. But yeah, so you may have noticed that there's actually, so if you look, there's all these tree trunks that you can run into. You can see I'm running continuously and then I just stop. But there's kind of this circle of trees up here which points out this one tree to be slightly significant. So if you run into that, you can see that my feet are still kind of showing down there at the bottom. And if I go up here and I go down, you can see that the wall of the trunk is pretty big on this tree. It's significant. And the reason for that is this is actually not part of the rest of the picture. This is actually a building. It's something that is involved with the first major quest of the entire game, and it is what we're going to be working on to start today's stream. So what I want to do is I want to add a door to this, and I want to add the inside. So I'll at least get that, and then there's some other stuff that I want to work on with the fountain. I'm debating whether I want to do that on stream, because I think that'd be something that it has to do with like options of interacting with it, and I think that's something that I'd like people to just experience with just experience by playing the game. I try to leave the like actual conversations as a surprise to people when they play the game, but the gameplay, the content, that's something that I can get people excited about because that will continue to be enjoyable when you, even though you know about it, just playing it will still be enjoyable. Whereas if it's some story aspect, if I just show you what it is, then there's no incentive to go play it for yourself. And I feel like a lot of the ways that I'm trying to incorporate humor really require that you just don't expect it to happen. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna leave that. I might show just some of the baseline of how that's done, but then leave the spaces for me to go fill in later. And but the main focus is going to be this building up here. So that's what we're going to work on. So one of the weird things right now is that I don't actually have a way to put a door on a circular wall. Now that's something that I probably should fix. It would make my life so much easier if I just made a circular segment door as opposed to what I have right now, which is only the flat wall doors. The problem is the flat wall doors are a lot easier to work with. It just adds like a negative wall right where you want the door to be, and then so they can bat each other. One's pushing you in the other direction, one of them's just reversing that. And then when you cross through that threshold and you enter the space that the door takes up, you actually switch from being outside to inside or vice versa, or between rooms and whatnot. So what would have to happen is I would have to set up this kind of theoretical space that's like a wedge section of a circle on the edge of the circle in order to achieve that. And it's something that if I had done, it would have made the little hut down in the fishing village so much easier on me and so much cleaner. So I'd probably if I do it, I'm probably gonna have to go clean it up anyways. But yeah, so I'm thinking, you know, let's give a crack at it. So that'll get some of the coding into the actual stream here. So. But yeah, so this is the little tree that we're going for, and we are going to work on it that way. So I'm pulling up the code here, and let's go check out how the actual doors work. For those of you that don't know, I've been working on this game for a while, so a lot of times I have to reread through my code. It'd probably be for the best if I commented everything, but you know, I like to make things hard on myself. So, I don't know, is it going to be this easy? I mean, we're kind of close. Door check. There's it's just a class, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. So, it's pretty simple. The class just takes in the information about the door. So what it does is it takes in the position along the wall. It takes in, so that's the starting point, and then starting from either left to right or top to bottom, depending on what orientation the wall is. And then you have the building that it's entering and the room that it's entering. So if you're transferring between rooms, like in the hotel, then the building stays constant, but the rooms are changing. And then if you are transferring but from one building to outside, then both of these become -1. If you're transferring inside, then they become the index of the building, and then whatever's the first room that you enter. So what we want to do is we want to create a secondary class here, which is going to be circdoor. So what kind of information do we want? We still want the position. The problem with this is that it's going to be a little bit more confusing how this works. Um, so the way that the circular walls work is they actually work off of a radius from the initial point, the central point of the circle, which, I mean, that's pretty simple. So if you are at a certain point in that, if you are intruding into that small section, then it stops you. So there's two options. There's direction here, which is the D input. Um, if it's a 0, then it is like it's a convex wall, and if it's a 1, it's a concave wall. Um, and theoretically, it's kind of the same no matter what. It just depends which direction the bias is on the wall. Because if it were just a 1 pixel wide wall, then you'd be able to sprint over it. You'd even be able to walk over it if you were on the right pattern of pixels. Because you travel, I believe, 2 pixels per tick or something like that, and then on if you're sprinting, you travel like 3 pixels per tick. So that's actually been a big problem with the doors. You can ask my my friend Jake, who constantly checks the doors for cracks, and usually successfully gets through the door without having any transfer between rooms. But hasn't really happened on the circle stuff because the circles are completely encapsulating. You don't have any 90-degree points, so there's no room for me to leave space for you to get through. And it's the same with the doors. The problem is that if you don't have the outside door line up correctly with the inside door, then there's this problem where you go outside and then you immediately get sent back inside, but you're moving in the opposite direction, and so you get outside of inside, but you're still inside. It's weird. So it's like a quick flip back and forth between the two settings. So the way that I would have to do this is I would have to check a bunch of angles. So what I'm thinking is so like how does this work? So instead of like a distance, these would have to be like angles. So I'm gonna write these out so that length, so that I can actually remember what they are later. And the problem with this is I'm going to have to edit how objects look at walls. So how does this work? So the regular wall has a doors it has a doors variable, and then if we go up to objects, so Control H, class, abstraction, that's just when your abs are in the way. We go down, we look at wall, oh no. So I think the walls actually take care of everything, which is why there isn't a problem with that. So if we make the circular walls have a similar ooh, I don't know what Control G does. So we're gonna go find, yeah, sneeze. Ooh. If we go find the circ wall, There you go. So the way that this works up here, this is the regular wall. If we look at the function that's created here, there's a door check, and what that does is there's a bunch of different scenarios. If you are there's a couple weird things. It checks to see if you are within 5 of a lot of things. It has to like spread it out, so there's kind of this weird shape. I can actually draw it on paint. It's kind of like, I'm gonna use this eraser tool. It's like this, which was part of the fix. So the wall is actually here, and so when your character here is trying to get through the door, then there was this problem where if the character were to sprint this way, they'd end up over here, but they wouldn't have actually touched the door because of that whole thing I was talking about with sprinting. And that's why I have this kind of like hammerhead shape where the door area is actually expanded to encapsulate this extra area on the sides, so that if you do sprint through the corner like that, then it doesn't cause problems. I realized that this actually wasn't the main problem, but I left it in just because it adds some robustness to the doors. But the big problem, like I said, was lining up, because if you have your other door like this or something, then that's actually not a problem. But if it extends out here and you didn't have this section up here, then the problem is that you would get through the door, and there's a chance that your character could be in this region that's like this extra pixel, and if you're there, then you'll continue moving in this direction, but you'll be in this area, whatever this area is. So that's a problem, because then it makes it really weird when you try and get back in, because it could possibly do that flip-flop again, and you'd be outside but on top of the building. Lots of weird stuff. But yeah, so but yeah, so that's what these all are. We won't really need that as much. I think we should be able to get away with the just initial distance, especially since it's gonna be angle oriented. So we have door check. We're just gonna copy this, and we're gonna paste it. Yeah, we'll paste it there. So we're gonna have door check, and just getting a bunch of text messages. What kind of stuff does door check takes it? So self dot pre collision position. This is old stuff. What is that? Def pre collision. Oh, I mean, I can guess what it means. I bet it means that it checks to see if that's where you are currently at, and then if you can move into that position, then you go there. So yeah, that's probably what it is. So it's looking at what is it? It takes in a position, takes in the orientation, so that assumes what direction you're moving, and then if so this is within wall. Oh, okay, so that's important. That's going to be important within the circular wall, but the circular wall should probably have something like that. I see we got a viewer watching. If you are watching, feel free to leave a comment in the chat so I know you're here. But I do have the chat over on the side, right next to the camera. So if you see me looking over there, that's what I'm looking at. So how does this work? This is it's checking the position here. But why do we not need that? Oh, so the collision is just being taken care of by the door check. And if the door check comes out to be So it checks pre-collision position. If pre-collision position shows that you're within the area of the wall, I think. Yeah. Then if you are, it returns a 1. It returns a 1 to here, which brings this into play. And so when we're here, it's checking the individual orientations to see if you're in a door. So it goes through all the doors that are in the current room, which could be outside. And it then looks at the T-bone shape, or hammerhead shape. T-bone doesn't make sense. And if you're in the door position, yeah, so that's another reason this probably doesn't matter at all, because this wouldn't go as 1 if you were in this position. But you know, if it ain't broke. So that's how the regular wall handles that. It's important that you have a collision, because this is something that the actual room and the character are looking for. They're looking for this collision function. If the collision function isn't there, then it's not gonna know what to do. But that's why there's kind of just this dummy function here, so that it has that name collision. But so the way that this does it is it looks if the direction, this is the direction of the wall, like I said. So in this case, this is a concave wall. It's the circle, and then you're outside of it trying to get in. And if you enter within the radius, so this is the distance formula for those of you non-mathy folks. It checks to see how close you are to a given point algebraically, which is actually, it's the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. It's Pythagorean theorem. And so it looks at this self-radius greater than or equal to self-radius minus 3. That's just kind of an aesthetic thing, I believe, the minus 3, so that it's not, you can get like closer to it with your foot, because I think there's this weird thing about like the exact pixel that is associated with where you are on the map, and it's like slightly above the bottom of your foot, so you can like stand in the middle of things and it looks right. So like I said, it's aesthetic, but that's necessary. So if what are these sex? Oh, that's something I never really played around with. So huh. the sections are actually something I added when I was initially making the circle walls, obviously. Um, and so that's just to have little sections of the walls. So I can look at how I did this. Um, so what this is doing is it's checking to see um, if the section is equal to 1, that just means it's the whole circle. If the section is equal to okay, so the way that this works is if it's set to 2, then that means it's not the full circle. I don't know why I did it that way. And then it's checking to see what portion of the full circle you're looking at. So it's either the right half, the left half, the top half, or the bottom half, which actually I had those backwards because Pygame works from the top down. So this is the top half, and that's the bottom half. That's a little bit bigger than what I want to do. We want to work with actual angles. So, So the problem with this is that currently it's trigger happy. The minute it sees that you're hitting a wall, it returns a 1. That's a collision. That's not what we want. We want to have where it sees that you're hitting a wall, then it checks to see if a door's there. So if we look at how this works, just trying to sure I got a notification. Ooh, more Twitch achievements. Oh boy. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to replace all these return ones with a secondary thing, which in the end it's not gonna change much. It's just gonna be checking something for a while. So we're gonna look at check equals 0. Oh wait, we don't need 2 equal signs. That's not a boolean. So check equals 0. And what we're going to do is instead of, from everything down from here, we're going to look at return 1. And that's going to be replaced with check equals 1. So, don't want to expand that. You probably can't even see my little search window, but that is probably my favorite thing about this IDLE. Once I found out how to use that correctly. So you can probably see that highlighted though. So replacing all the return ones with check equals 1. We're going to replace all these. It finds the next one after I replace it, and I think that's the last one, but I'm going to, yeah, I was lucky. But, okay, so enter, backspace, enter. So what this is going to do is it's going to say if check equals 1, now we need the 2 equal signs, then return 1. And if it doesn't, then you return 0. But what this allows us to do is, we could even go a step further. So if self.door check we need to put pose in here. Equals 1. then we'll return 1. So what it's doing is it's checking to see if we're colliding with a wall. Then check to see if it's a door. And if it's a door, then... Oh, okay. Equals 0. Gotta make that make sense. So if it's a door, it ignores the wall because you can go through it. If it's not a door, then the wall is there, and you return 1, claiming that there's a collision. And so if the door is there, it doesn't return 1, and it goes to return 0. So now we need to flesh out door check. What we could check, I guess, is if that circle wall still works. So I'm going to do myself a favor, and I'm going to change my X and Y coordinates up here, just so I'm automatically in that section. So what section is that? If we go on here and we look at the map, it's section -1, -1, actually, because this is 0, 0. That's where that's the first place you start. So it's all based off the origin of where you start the game. So it goes up 1, over 1, in both in the backwards direction. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this at negative. Let's go negative 800. Negative 800. Hopefully I'm not like in the tree. And then what I need to do is I need to say that I am outside. Unexpected indent. Oh, I didn't put anything here. Ooh. So... Oh, come on. Oh, I'm good. So I was actually in the tree, and then I was out of it, so I gotta go change that. But that does say that the wall isn't working. So I messed something up. So we need to go 900. I'm just gonna check for sanity's sake. All the circle walls aren't working now, because you can see I can run through the middle of trees. So yeah, I screwed something up. I know why, because we don't have door check there yet. So door check, instead of doing the dummy thing, I need to just just put return 1 or return 0. And that'll make all the circle walls work. There you go. So I ran into a tree. And this guy still works. So we're good. So like I said, this doesn't intrude on the function of the function, wink, but it allows me to bypass the function of it with the door check. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on the door checks. The door check, like I said, is going to be a little bit funky. The way that it works is it's going to look at all the doors that the wall has associated with it. So how is this laid out? It's just self.doors is an array. So we'll do that as well. I'm trying to make it even. It's under length. We don't need a length, but it's right above offset, so that's what we'll put it. The offset is it's So every object has its point of origin, which is actually the top left corner of any picture. So when I put an object on the screen, it has some x and y coordinates, and what we basically need to do is have the walls based off of those x and y coordinates. So assuming that as the origin, wherever the object is, the top left corner of it is the origin. Then the x and y coordinates that are the offset are where the wall actually is. So in this case, I would have to show where the center of the wall is. So we have doors though. I'm just going to be equal to 0 times 0. For those of you that don't know Python, that's actually just how you make an array that doesn't have anything in it. So it's a blank array, but it allows me to append things on later and make this have extra length, because everybody likes extra length. So we have the doors up here. I'm gonna, I guess, ignore the way that I did it before, because that doesn't really apply as much. We're already checking to see if we're there. So if we are, then we just need to look at the angle. So door check, the way that this is going to work is we're going to go for in range len self dot doors. And that just makes us go through all the indexes that are there, but since it has 0 at the moment, it just won't check anything. But if there is a door to check, or if there's multiple doors to check, which would be weird on a circle wall, but you know, I'm leaving things open to options. Then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the angles are going to be weird. So how do I want to do this? Because the distance is fine, but it gets really weird when you start doing angle stuff. I forget how. We got tangent 2. I think that one's important. But I'm trying to remember. We might have to do some research as to whether it spits out in radians or degrees. I'm almost certain it's radians. So Pygame. Oh no, Python. Tan2 math functions. Where's our trigonometric functions? Arctan2, that's what I was looking for. So it returns so when we do arctan2, then it looks at the y and then the x, I think. No, it looks at xy. So that's not too bad. So if we want to look at, we need to look at the, what's it called? We need to look at the relative position from the offset, from the actual center of the wall. So, door check, it's looking at, it has to take in its x and y and then the user x and y. So we're going to do well, we can do this first. So we're going to do ang is equal to a tan, oh, we got to do mat dot a tan 2. If you're wondering why this is mat and not math, it's because apparently Pygame has something called math, and it gets mad when you use the word math. So we're gonna do. Oh, so it does want y first. I don't know why I didn't just do it this way. So we're gonna do. We got to do the the relative position. So it's going to be the center minus the user, and it always gets confusing because things are upside down. And I don't remember where 0 is. So let me look at this example again. It's saying that -1 would give out -3 pi over 4, which would be there. No, it'd be there. So everything's upside down. I gotta remember that. Because the ATAN is not looking at what Pygame's doing. It's just part of Python. So it doesn't think about it upside down. So it's gonna be starting in the same spot. It'll start to the right in the exact east direction, and then it's gonna go clockwise from there in as positive, and counterclockwise is negative, which is gonna screw me up math-wise, but we'll get there. So self dot y minus user dot y, and then self dot x minus user dot x. So we're gonna say if ang is greater than self, then self dot doors I dot angle greater than or equal to, and ang is less than or equal to self dot doors I dot angle plus self dot doors I dot ang length then return 1, and if not, it returns 0. So I was talking about how it was going to be complicated. It's complicated theoretically, but the great thing about circles is they're the same all around. So this is going to be a little weird to test, but we'll go down to that building. So what do we need? We need to create the door, and then this should handle itself. What does pose do? Oh. Yeah, I need to use pose here. I don't need to if I'm only talking about the character. The idea is that, like, if I had a roaming thing, I'd like it to be able to just accidentally go inside of a door. I think that'd be great if, like, a cow walked into your building. And so by doing this pose thing, it allows me to make it so that cows can run in the walls, but can still go through doors. And not just cows, it opens it up to anything that roams around. Okay. So we have that. So I'm going to go look for forest. Ooh. Keep searching. There we go. Area 1 through 5. The forest. So if you look at area -1, -1, these are all the trees, which that was painstaking. It's annoying that I had to do it that way, but it made it run so much faster. But we have this building. The building is in area -1, -1. So that's what we're looking at. Here's your wall. You got your circular wall. So we're gonna copy that. Walls dot doors. Oh, we gotta go 0 dot doors. I'm gonna need to make the room and stuff, and even to test this, because it's gonna crash if I go, if I try and go through the door. Dot append circ door angle length B. I don't remember what. Oh, that's building. Building's gonna be 0, room's gonna be 0, so that's fine. But the angle and the angle length, that's gonna be a little weird. So the weird thing about this is I have kind of a standard door size, and the problem with circles is that's gonna change when we expand them, kind of. Yeah, it will change. So how big is this? This is a 45 radius. So we could do some quick math here. Get the calculator. So the radius is 45. What we're gonna do is, that's Pythagorean theorem. So we're gonna go. Yeah. Huh. How do I want to do this? Min radians. So what angle is gonna give us what we want? So if I'm in radians, then if I just, we're gonna start testing things and get to where we want. So sine of 1, 1's a pretty big angle, times 45, it's gonna be 37. So we need to lower that down. We need to lower that down a lot. Sine of 0.25, 0.25 sine times 45, and then times 2 to give us kind of the rough area of how big the door will be. So that's gonna be 22. That's pretty on the money, because all the doors are 20 wide. If it's slightly bigger, I'm fine with that. So we're gonna do, angle is gonna be, we need to, what would be straight down? Straight down is gonna be pi over 2. So 1.57, and we're gonna subtract 0.25. That's gonna be 1.32, and then oh, dang it, clear. So 1.57 minus 0.125. It's gonna be 1.445. 1.445, and then our angle length is going to be 0.25, and then our building is going to be 0, our room's going to be 0. That should do it. So the reason that these can be decimals is because we're doing comparison. We're not doing like addition and things. So it's Python. Python would handle it anyways. But yeah, so we are actually almost on an hour here. I'm probably not going to stream too much longer, but I just want to make sure this door works. So here we go. We're going to get to some art. I guess we got to draw the building on the inside. So it's going to be 40. It's going to be a circle that's 45 in radius. But that's something it'll be really rough to try and pull this off. But I want to make it bigger on the inside. So where is that at? It's at 75, 75. That's the center. And the oh, and that's even after this. So how much room do we have? We have like 200 to play with in that area. If it gets outside the area, things are going to get really weird. But inside the area, we should be fine. I'm thinking it'd be funny if the inside were like if the inside were like a rectangle and that was bigger than the circle that you just walked into. And that might make my life a little bit easier when I go to actually work on it. So, on the door back out. So we're gonna resize this guy. Pixels don't maintain aspect ratio to 200, 200. And this is the building that we're gonna make. So we're gonna have kind of like a hallway and then some counter chambers to the side and then like a main chamber on like further up the room. So I need to switch to my drawing tablet. I don't really need to, I guess, to get the base. You know what? Just for bug testing, we're just gonna save this white square as the building. So we're gonna go to Easteria, areas, start forest, new folder. This is gonna be wizard hut. So that's good. There's gonna be I just realized a problem. I need to rename the folder that this is in because you know, why don't I do it from here? This needs to have an underscore. There we go. So if I cancel that, it should still have it. Yeah, okay. So I saved it, and that's what we're gonna work with. So, we're gonna add a room. So we got to put the building, the XY. That's where it's gonna get weird, cause we need the bottom of it to line up perfectly at the bottom of it of the yeah, we can work that. We can work it. So we know the coordinate, and then we know um, huh. Yeah, so we know the coordinate, we know where the wall is. So it's at 75, 75 from this point, and then 45 below that is going to be where we want to put that. So then I is, what is I? Index is going to be 0, I guess. Um, so this is the build, and then our x value is going to be 135 plus 75 is going to be 210, and then we don't need any more x, we need y. So we're going to have 215, but then we're going to add 45 to that, which will put us to 60. So we want, that's where we want the bottom of it to be. So then we're going to we're going to subtract 200 from both of them. That actually worked out better than trying to do the math in my head, I think. So that's the room, and then we're gonna get that 0 dot image path equals, we'll grab that one and edit it, make our lives a little bit easier. Wizard hut. Did I capitalize the second word? I did. Everything matters. Slash, and then I made them all lowercase inside. .png. Alright, so there's not going to be any walls on the inside, but we'll get inside, so that's the important part. Well, hopefully we get inside. We don't need a top image. We don't need walls yet. Okay, let's see if we crash the game trying to run into this wall. So, yeah, that crashed. What happened? Circ door has no attribute angle. Alright. Did I spell something wrong? Oh, I'm starting to do Control H again. Def. Oh. Class. Circ door. Find, close. Angle. Angle. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna just change this to angle. And this to length. You guys might not have been able to see that. It might be behind my face. Alright, let's just run into the wall. Everything seems good. We go down here. Alright, that didn't work. Ooh, that worked. So it's on top. Told you it's gonna get weird. So we're gonna have to make all those negative. Ooh, but I didn't. That's why. That's another thing that's not happening. So here, if it's returning 1, then it's gonna go to. So user or. Okay, this is gonna be where those cows don't get to go into the building. Is it pose? Yeah, it's pose. Okay, so whatever pose is, so it's pose dot room equals self dot doors I dot R. Is it just R? No, it's room enter and build enter. Okay. Enter, and then pose dot build is equal to self. I'm really happy that that just worked the way that I was expecting it to. Enter. So it's gonna get, yeah, so we entered the room, but we didn't enter it in the right place, and everything's offset. Okay. So oh, that's that's why it's offset. Okay. Forest. We're just gonna get down here. Find. Forest. There we go. Okay, we're back here. Remember when I put these in there? Don't need it. This takes care of that, because this starts you at the origin of the building. So I need to add 135 to this guy, so that's going to be 145, and I need to add 140 to this, so that's going to be 200. Is it? No, it's not. Alright, so this was at 10. I have to subtract 135, so it's going to be negative 125. And I have to subtract 140, so it's going to be negative 80. Yes. And then this is going to be negative. Now it's going to be negative. Is it? No, because that's going to put it at an angle. Where's our calculator? Okay, so we're going to plus 1.125 equals, okay, negative 6925, and then the length is still going to be positive. $695. Okay, that should work. And if we did it right, I should pop up at the bottom of the white square. I'm at the bottom of the white square. It's not centered. So that tells me that I have a little bit more room to play with, but I don't think I want it. I think I do want it to be centered that way. So I'm going to add 100. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, I'm happy. Okay. So, at the moment, can't get back out. Probably gonna make the actual building itself kind of a brownish color on the inside. So I think I could offset it with a dark green. So if you look at other rooms, there's let me just make my life easy. If I get this, okay, BG color equals. And then we have to give it a color. So it goes red, green, blue. So we want a little bit of green and a little less blue with maybe like a tiny bit of red. So we're going to go 20, 80, 40, 50. And the benefit of this is that it makes it look a little bit nicer when you're in each room. I kind of want it to be more dark, so that's the color I'm going for. But I want it to be kind of like a dark green, like you're kind of under the forest. So we're gonna go 10. We're gonna go 60, and we're gonna go 35, not 350. That would be awful. Would be impossible. It's above 255. A little bit better. We're going to bring it back down more. We're going to go to, screw the red. We're going to go to 40. We're going to go to 15. Make it real dark. I like that. Might bring the green back up a little bit. Okay, I think that's the color I'm looking for. And it looks really nice with the different icons and whatnot. But yeah, so this is going to be the room. It'll be bigger on the inside, and we can go crash the game by getting out of the area. Ooh, can't even get out of the area. That's awesome. There we go. That gets out of the area. So you can't go up because there isn't an area there, but there is an area to the left, and when you get to the left, there's no building in that area, so then it doesn't know what to do. That would actually be interesting. I'm wondering if you could, I don't think there's any spots where you could do it right now, but let's say you were outside the building, but you were in building 0, room 0, and the section next to it had a building 0 with a room 0, and you transferred across that. Would you just be in that then? I think so. I can't test it right now, but I think that would technically work. So I might be able to play around with that, because then that would actually connect things, if I had like an underground tunnel. I could transfer between areas. Yeah, I could work that. So that would actually solve the problem of transferring, like I said, if the building existed in 2 areas at the same time, as long as the indexes added up, or were the same, I should say, then it should work out. But yeah, I think I'm satisfied. I did promise I'd go look at the fountain. I know we did that in last stream, but I'm going to go look at that for sanity's sake, because I did mention that I would probably look at that when I ended it, or at some point in the stream. So wasn't expecting that to take the whole time, but we'll have a little conversation on the way down. So yeah, no, there's this. I'm enjoying the streams. I'm enjoying talking things out. Ooh, you don't get that. Apparently, you don't get that achievement until you enter Area 0, which I thought you auto got it when you were down at the bottom here, but I don't know. Take the river because I don't care about the fish getting scared. Turn the music off, and then there's our fountain. Nice little animated fountain, and you can run into it. It's got circle walls, and now I could probably make this a lot better, this whole thing, but it works. What I might do though, I might make it so that you can go all the way into this little circle over here, because right now there's just a big circle wall, and then there's a circle wall. There's 2 circle walls that go in the opposite direction out here, but you can see the circle just kind of continues from there. And then there's actually the door wall right there that stops you from going down. That's kind of funny. But this building works. So I know what I can probably work. There is something that's going to require a door right here. So I can probably use a circular door, and then as you run into it, it'll just be an aesthetic thing on top of it, but the door will actually be on that wall. So it's perfect, actually, that the wall is still there. So that's nice. I'm satisfied with what I've done on the stream today. I hope you are as well. And I'll keep you guys posted. Luckily, Twitch is pretty nice about letting people know when I go live. So even if you don't catch the start of the stream, you'll catch a little bit of it if you're actually interested in watching. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.